Hey everybody, my name is Aaron and I quit my job to start a startup. It's called Hi-Hat and it makes being a fan into a game. I post new video blogs every Wednesday, so make sure you subscribe to see all the latest. This week I'm going to talk a little bit about side projects. So usually my position on side projects has been, at least for the last, 6 or 7 years, that I don't have any. And the main reason for that is that I guess the way my brain works, I prefer to focus on one thing at a time and, sort of be obsessed with it. And the reason that I decided to double down on that a while ago is that I basically realized that the problem that I had before that was that I was spreading myself really thin and doing everything. So, before I got into startups, I was doing video editing. I had a film degree, so I wasn't sure if I wanted to use it. I was recording music. I was working at shows and producing shows, concerts. And I had my own band, So, between all of that, the net result is not making a whole lot of progress in any of them. So, when I got into programming, I basically decided that that was what I was going to do. I was going to focus on it, and everything else was going to be a hobby. And that was it. So, but recently, a friend of mine who has a pretty successful thing going asked me if I wanted to work on a little side project with him. He had this idea for a product, and I'm not going to go into the details, but he said, "Look, I've got some success, and I solve problems a certain way. I have a certain attitude. Maybe you can learn if we work together, and we'll both learn something from each other, and and we'll build a thing. And if the thing works out, then that's great, and if not, then that's okay." And since it's been a long time since I've worked with someone on something like that, I said yes. And one of the things that I did that made me feel okay about it was that I made a time commitment to myself, where I basically said, "Look, I'm going to put a certain amount of time into this with some very predefined goals. Like I'm going to learn some things. I'm going to collaborate with somebody in a way that I haven't in a long time. I'm going to spend this much time on it." And once those conditions have been met, and I've built what was basically like the initial spec, then I am done with the initial thing as far as I was concerned, and I will either decide to keep working on it, or I will put it aside and say, okay, I got what I needed, and move on and go full 100% time back to Hi-Hat. So maybe it's only me, but I feel like progress has been slower than I'd like. I should be ready to launch by now. So, as I said before, I've only got a few weeks left, and finishing up a side project and saying okay, that's it, I'm good to go, is it's going to help me focus. But I think that it was an important lesson to be able to take that time and work on something else and learn a bunch of things. I learned how to use the Twitter API, and I learned how to deploy a Django product on Heroku into production. If you don't know what any of that means, that's fine. But it was a nice thing of going start to finish, see something through, and it's a good change from working on something for basically 6 months. So if you are ever going to work on a side project like that and you have a main project, the important thing to do, I think, is to make a commitment to yourself that the scope of the project is X. And once you've accomplished X, no matter how many other things you could be doing with it, improving it, stuff like that, you got to take a step back and go okay, I got what I wanted. Do I continue with this, or do I move on and work on something else? So having done that, like I said, now it's all the time back to Hi-Hat. Let's finish this thing and get it released. So that's it for this week. If you liked it, remember to comment, subscribe, tell your friends, attach the URL to carrier pigeons and send them to other countries so people know about it. Anything you can do or want to do to spread the word or just remind yourself. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next week.